regular route to school, which I take almost every day. I use my bike on a daily basis. It's my main mode of transport. What I love about biking is you'll hear the life of everything around you. You hear people fighting, you hear... Oops. I think biking is better for flirting than driving in cars. Closer contact, smiles, you know. I'm not a transportation planning expert, but from what I do know about the topic and the general design of cities, I think that bikes would be a lot better accommodated if they had actually demarcated separate lanes. It doesn't just mean painted strips, that means concrete barriers that separate bikes from cars. A lot of cities in Europe, like Copenhagen, have that, and it just doesn't leave a question for where you shouldn't be. Also shows that biking as a regular mode of transportation is just as legit as driving your car. But of course, to do that, you'd have to take out lanes for parking or for traffic, so that's where you get all the people who drive and come from outside the city and work downtown, not wanting lanes to be changed into actually separated bike lanes. But it seems that in other places, both car drivers and the whole city adapt to the change. Whatever I detest drivers, it's just them treating me not like a real person and getting annoyed that this is my choice of getting around, because I personally do think it's a better choice.
Now, Anthony, you mentioned physically separated bike lanes like they have in Europe. Are there other ideas that maybe we could learn from other places in the world?
I know there are certain places in the world that are sort of seen as, you know, really good examples, and I mentioned Copenhagen, that's one of them, and it is physically demarcated lanes. And discussion so far, I don't think anyone, bike riders or drivers, are opposed to this. I think that everyone understands that that's probably the best solution. It's just a matter of who feels responsible for paying for those choices, as well as, you know, losing the car lanes. I think those are the bigger issues.
Matt, do you think that is possible, those kinds of ideas?
Anything's possible. It's a political problem. It's not a transit problem, so these are great ideas. Look, build all bike tunnels, build a bike monorail, whatever. We can talk about these ideas. It's until you fix this, it's just talk. It's not going to happen.
Totally, but at the same time, I think that nobody expects it to happen overnight. I know the way it worked in Copenhagen was incrementally over a period. Somebody might know better. I think it was like 30 years or something, slowly reducing lane by lane and parking lot by parking lot. And it's that slow incremental adjustment. And with each one less lane and one extra place for you to ride, all those other people who aren't riding their bikes and are maybe scared of going on the road because they're separated will start to flock to those lanes, and it'll generally become seen as a mode of transportation. I don't think anyone is expecting a bike revolution overnight, as much as probably everyone in the audience would like that. But
James, you've biked in New York City, which is a very massive city, but they've managed with some bike lanes. How do they work there? You know,
they got 320 kilometers of protected bike lanes over 3 years. So it can be done. There's no reason why it shouldn't happen in Toronto. It's not expensive. It's significantly cheaper than any public transit, you know, subways, LRTs. Bike lanes are cheap, and you can block them off, and you can use parked cars from automobiles. And life went on in New York. It can be done, and there's no reason why we can't do it here.
Sonia, you're on the road every day. What sort of solutions do you have in mind?
Physically separated bike lanes is a good way to go, but, I mean, why is there surface parking in the downtown core anyway? All it does is impede traffic, right? Like, if you were to take those parking lanes and use them for bike lanes, that would at least get, you know, people moving, and you wouldn't have a car off every 5 seconds to get into that parking spot.
All right, we're sort of running out of time. Can we just get some final thoughts from each of our panelists, starting with you, Dave?
Well, I certainly respect cyclists, and I certainly don't go out every day trying to cut off or anger cyclists. I try to share the road, and, you know, and my only sort of thing to cyclists is, you know, please be aware that sometimes drivers do make mistakes. If we do, it's often not personal. And, you know, I'll try to be aware of you. Please try to be me.
Sonny?
I think it's a really good thing that this show is happening, because right now in this room, I don't see any animosity. Right? Well, maybe a little bit for 1 minute. But, you know, people just have to be more active driving, because it is like waving a gun around. Are you going to pull the trigger, or are you going to put the safety on? That's about it.
Matt?
It's easy to respect each other in a studio. It's a lot harder on the road. You're late, you're tired, you're cranky. You either want to get home or you're late. Get a lot harder there. I do want to respond to something that a cyclist in the audience said. The onus is on us. Oh, for the love of God, please don't put the onus on me, because I could very easily kill you without meaning to. I really don't want to have that on my conscience. Cyclists can see us better than we can see you. You're more agile and you can brake quicker. Just like, I'm not, look, the legal responsibility might be mine, but when someone's dead, whose fault it is doesn't really matter. Just be aware of us. I'll do my best. That's my offer to you, but understand you will lose in a collision with my station wagon. It's just the way it is.
I'm going to try to end this on a somewhat warm note. I think that basically everyone is really f***ing frustrated, and I think that policymakers, politicians need to take a leadership role and understand that it isn't about cyclists and car drivers fighting in a room. There's other more serious problems like running out of oil, like the ozone layer depleting, like obesity rates getting higher. There needs to be more leadership and understanding that, you know, cycling and walking and transit are great ways to get around, and the healthier solution, our world being around for a lot longer. People need to stop thinking of us and them and start thinking like a community.
Thank you to everyone on the panel for our closing. And we actually have to wrap up now. But let us know what you think. Email us at impact@mtv.ca or tweet us at MTV News Canada. Thank you, everyone. Awesome.